Two men, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses, 8 kids, 1 business coach radio show. It's the Thrivetime Business Coach Radio Show. Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show.
That's it. Arms away.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download. And Chup, if I can, I'd like to start off today's show by sharing with the listeners, or leaving the listeners with a notable quotable that's not positive. Chup, I want to start off today's show on sort of a downer.
We'll take it down, and then Sharon can bring us back up.
We'll work right back up here, because on today's show, we have the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad on today's show, the best-selling author of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book series on the show. And she worked with the Napoleon Hill Foundation to write a book about this topic I'm going to bring up right now. And if you are somebody who's a Judeo-Christian, then you're probably aware of, or you've heard the verse, Matthew 15:19, where it reads, "For out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications," wow, this is pretty light, "theft, false witness, slanders." And what I have found over the years, having coached a lot of clients, is I've found that the vast majority of America is struggling with some vice and or issues. And so, Chup, I'd like for you to copy some of the show notes from our Sex and Drugs podcast, because there are so many examples that have blown my mind over the years of people that are behaving badly and their business is struggling as a result of it. So I'll just give you a few examples. According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and CBS News, 75% of employees steal. Well, you might say, okay, well, that's employees. I'm an entrepreneur. But what's crazy is I found that the same number is true when it comes to entrepreneurs. I've seen entrepreneurs that quote a client a price, and then they keep raising the price just to see how high they can raise it. They're just gouging customers. I've seen entrepreneurs not paying taxes. I've seen entrepreneurs stealing in multiple ways. You talk about here Matthew 15:19. You talk about adultery. Gosh, I have seen some serious firsthand, up close, in-person adultery. Chup, I've seen a lot of business owners who've had a very successful company. They lost it all because of making poor decisions after work or before work.
According to psychologytoday.com, past statistics have shown that in the U.S., 50% of first marriages, 67% of second marriages, and 73% of third marriages end in divorce.
We'll put the show notes here for you.
Here's another one from the Washington Post. 78% of the men interviewed had cheated on their current partner. 5 myths.
Yes! Chup, you know what that means? What percentage cheat on their spouse?
78.
That means that there is a full 2 plus 20, 22% of American men don't cheat on their spouse. Hey! Yes!
1 out of 5. All right.
Give us another terrible statistic, Chup.
Well, let's see. 17% of couples are content in their partner.
Which means only 70% of people even like their partner. Oh. Chup, we've got a lot of Americans struggling with gambling addictions.
That's right.
A lot of Americans struggling with alcoholism. There's so many vices and problems. And so
4 to 6 million people, according to Livestrong.com, would be considered problem gamblers.
Oof.
People whose gambling affects their everyday lives.
So what happens is that a lot of times people know what to do. They just don't do it. And if people did know what to do, then teen pregnancy would be a thing of the past. Chup, do you remember how hilarious it was in high school when the guidance counselor would come in and give a group of high school seniors and juniors a safe sex talk?
Do you want to know what's really crazy?
What's that?
We didn't even have any type of education in high school. They did it 1 year in 6th grade.
But did you not just giggle the whole time?
It was so silly. Yeah, it was just like...
This is how I recall it happening. I remember we had a guy in my 7th grade class, 6th grade class, who gets up there and he says, "All right, everybody, I want to talk to you about we need everybody to be serious today. Let's be mature. He's got an auditorium of probably 150 boys, middle school boys, and so there's a couple of things.
babies are created as a result of the penis and the vagina engaging in activity. Now the vagina will, and I'm like, oh, we're like vagina. He said vagina. Oh, dude. And then we get together and we go, don't laugh. And then it would be like now. Men around the age of yada yada, their pituitary gland begins to develop, and the female pituitary gland begins to develop, which causes enlarged mammary glands. We're like,
Mammary.
yeah. What? And he said, Clay, did you have something you want to say? No. Boobs. And that was what happened,
Yes.
But we already knew all these things.
You learned about that on the bus 4 years before that.
Right. And so in 8th grade, 7th grade, I remember 8th grade, the first girl that I'd heard of who got pregnant. Ooh. I remember 9th grade hearing of a girl that got pregnant. I remember my 10th grade year in high school, there was dozens of girls that got pregnant. And every time they got pregnant, they wouldn't make a special announcement, but you all knew what happened.
Right.
And then they would have another class, and the school board would get together, and concerned parents would get together, and they would get together and make these new classes and curriculums.
Did you say nude classes and curriculums?
No, but new classes and curriculums here. But it's a Freudian slip there, Chip. But what happens is they would make these new classes and curriculums designed to help us learn how to be more effective. And so I remember they had one class that went as far as to teach how to put a condom on a banana. And that was actually taught how to put a condom on a banana. And I remember I got invited to a party, and I won't mention the person's first name because I'm sure she's changed since that time. But it was a birthday party at her house, and I'm like 16 or 17. I really didn't go to a lot of parties at all my junior and senior year. I just totally chose to kind of opt out. But I went to one of the parties, and so I'm knocking on the door, and it's and the parent is there, and the parent is obviously intoxicated. And they said, "Hey, Clay, here's the deal, man. Come on in, man. Come on in." I said, "Great." I said, "Hey, I'm just looking all befuddled." He goes, "Here's the deal, man. I'd rather be the parent that has everybody drink here than the parent who allows you guys to go out and drink when I don't know what's going on." Have you ever had that? Chubb, have you ever run into that kind of parent?
Yeah.
Right. So I run into that kind of parent. So I go downstairs, and there's a girl from my high school who's totally naked.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And all of the guys are getting it on with her, multiple dudes getting it on with the same girl. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not kidding. There's 3 guys, and I'm going, on a ping pong table. And I remember going, So I go upstairs, because I'm at this party.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, hey, going upstairs, looking for some food to eat or something. Everyone's got beers except for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go outside. Go outside. There's somebody getting it on. Everyone's getting it on.
Freak fest.
Right. So anyway, this stuff happens. Everyone's intoxicated. It's crazy. So I remember talking to one of my buddies, and I'm like, dude, what was that all about? I thought you were dating this person, and he's like, oh, dude, it doesn't matter, man. We're just hooking up.
Yeah,
And so I said, well, and we just had this guy come into our class and talk about one of the teachers talk about safe sex and how X percentage of high school students were getting pregnant, and how if you did get pregnant, your chances of success are going to decrease
dramatically.
And so we just had the talk. And I kind of looked at him. I'm like, dude, at least did you at least do the whole safe sex move deal? And he's like, no, it feels better when you don't wear a Jimmy hat. That was his actual quote. It feels better when you don't wear a Jimmy hat. Now, I'd never heard that phrase used before, but I thought, that's kind of clever. But yet, that's not smart. No. And so long story short, these people had a baby.
Yeah,
and this just kept happening.
That's what happened
throughout high school. I remember a junior year finding out how many of my friends had STDs and had babies, and it's not about education. It's about implementation. And so Sharon Lechter is a financial educator. She exposes you to the knowledge, but she also encourages you to implement. And what Napoleon Hill discovered and what he wrote about in the early 1930s was it actually caused him to become depressed. Is that a lot of people know what to do now?
Most, right?
People have read the book, and they still don't do it. And so, he discovered, gosh, man, I think that why people don't do. I think why a lot of people don't have success is because of their own vices. They're caving into their own worst, innermost carnal primal desires. And so he wrote this book called Outwitting the Devil. And when he finished the book, his publisher, his wife, everyone thought the book was too crazy because it was talking about how to have conversations with yourself or the devil and say, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do it. It's about willpower. It's about self-discipline. And I really feel like this book, Outwitting the Devil, can change the life of somebody's life. I've given that book to dozens of people, and I own a copy of it that's in the man cave at all times. So Thrive Nation, without any further redo, hopefully we just had redo it once. Without any further ado, back to our exclusive interview with Sharon Lechter as she breaks down her book that she worked with the Napoleon Hill Foundation to create, Outwitting the Devil. Sharon, my son was born blind in 2007, and his name is Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark. I named him Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark after the late, great success author Napoleon Hill. And I was so excited when I saw that you were digging up the old manuscript that Napoleon Hill wrote in the 1930s. And I believe it was his wife who banned him or encouraged him not to release the book at the time. Could you share why the book Outwitting the Devil wasn't released, why it was held kind of a secret since the 1930s, and how you got involved with the publication and the freshening up of that manuscript?
Well, certainly. Let me give you a little bit of background first. In 1908, Napoleon Hill was charged by Andrew Carnegie to go out and study the thesis of success, and he was going to introduce him to all his rich friends. And it turned into a 25-year endeavor. And from that, in 1937, Napoleon Hill published the book Think and Grow Rich. And it was an instant success. But he was frustrated because he said, even though people know what they're supposed to do, they don't do it. And he realized that was true in his own life. And he says, here I am. I'm the custodian of this thesis of success. I mean, I've lived it, I've breathed it, and I still have my ups and downs. What's wrong with me? And he sat down out of his frustration, and in just a few short months, he wrote this book, which he kind of said was a download from above, called Outwitting the Devil. And the title scared his wife to death. She worked for the Methodist Church, and she forbid it to be published, and it was actually locked away. And it really is a interrogation of the devil, and Napoleon Hill says, you can believe I'm talking to the real devil or an imaginary devil. Will you derive any benefit from what I share? And it talks about how, and let's talk about it as a man-made devil, so we keep people on the line. They don't get mad at us. So we each have that negative voice inside of us that's saying you're not good enough, you can't do this. And we live in this world of fear of poverty, fear of failure, fear of success. How about fear of criticism? We're so afraid other people are going to talk about us and what we're going to look like, or we don't want to be the one that goes that path less traveled, even though that's where the true success is. We want to follow the masses. And so this book, Outwitting the Devil, talks about fear and how fear can cripple us. Fear does one of two things. It can either cripple us, paralyze us, or it can motivate us. And in 99% of the cases, fear paralyzes us. And so he talks about, first we need to recognize where that fear comes from. And once we recognize it, then we can move forward and overcome that fear and take control of our own lives. And when we are in control, we recognize the fear is still there. It still comes. But you recognize it, and you don't allow it to consume you. You turn it around and use it as the energy to keep moving forward. And that's the whole purpose of Outwitting the Devil. And I will tell you, I think there was a greater hand at work. Because had it actually been published in 1938, and I'm not sure, it would have been competing with Think and Grow Rich. And now Think and Grow Rich has sold 100 million copies. It's established the brand. And Outwitting the Devil came out right after this latest economic crisis, and it really, our goal when they asked me to step in and support the foundation was to reinvigorate the teachings of Napoleon Hill for a younger generation. And Outwitting the Devil is perfect for that because it's a little in your face, it's a little irreverent. It goes, basically says, wake up and smell the roses, and don't give up your responsibility and the authority for your life to other people. Take that control, and then things that you can do to get rid of that fear and be able to overcome it. And it really is working. It's stayed on the bestseller list for a long time, ever since we published it, and it truly is speaking to the younger generation, so I'm thrilled by it.
That book has so many profound notes, countless epiphanies, these mindset-altering, notable quotables. I mean, my book is just filled with notes, but I had a few highlights from the book. I wanted to read the excerpt to you and see if you could break it down here on the final few minutes that we have with you today on today's podcast. Is that all right with you?
Certainly.
I guess it'd be kind of a weird time to reject me, but here we go. All right, so here we go. Here's the notable quotable. The capacity to surmount failure without being discouraged is the chief asset of every person who attains success in any calling.
Absolutely, and I think, if we use one word, the word would be perseverance. And that is to understand that that fear of rejection, that fear of failure can stop us in our track, and it does most people. You just basically, you don't keep going because you think you have a negative. You get a no, and you say, understand now, when you start hearing a no today, change it to not yet, and know that you have to keep going, that you still have an opportunity. And I shared the story of my biggest business mistake turned into my greatest life decision. And that is, again, keep going in the fact that making mistakes and having failures is part of that process, part of going in that direction. I mean, Walt Disney himself failed. He was fired at the age of 17 for not being creative enough. His first character was stolen by MGM.
Yeah.
His first company, Laugh-O-Gram, went out of business. And each time he kept going because he knew he had a gift. He knew what he wanted to do. I think it was the first studio that he took Mickey Mouse to turned it down, saying women would run out of a studio with a big rat on screen. And that gave him the courage to start his own company. And so, obviously we don't need to talk about his level of success, but I don't know how many of us would have gone through that many failures and kept driving. And that's the essence of success.
Now, Sharon, one of the notable quotables in your book, you're talking about drifters and non-drifters. And you right here, you say, or Napoleon Hill writes in the book that you did with him, the class of people who control their environmental influences are the non-drifters. All who are victims of the habit of drifting forfeit their power to choose their own environment. They become the victims of every negative influence of their environment. Can you share with the listeners out there the importance of controlling your environment and what it means to do so?
Well, it comes into several different auto-suggestion as part of that. What are you allowing in your space? Are you putting yourself in a group of people who want you to succeed and they're there to support you and encourage you? Or are you putting yourself around people who are basically wanting to keep you in your place? And if you start to make an improvement, they want to pull you back. And so the environment is everything. It's so important to understand what you're feeding your mind as well as your body. What are you doing to support yourself? And that concept of the non-drifters. Think of the term go with the flow. Okay, drifters, which Napoleon Hill talks about, 98% of the population are drifters, are the ones who basically don't make plans. They don't have that definiteness of purpose. A non-drifter knows what they want out of life. They have a definiteness of purpose, and they create a plan to get what they want. And they don't let other people divert them. Certainly they get off the path every once in a while, but they know what their goal is, and they recalibrate and refocus and start moving forward. But the drifters basically never have, they whatever. They say, well, whatever you want.
Sort of.
Or go with the flow, the lemmings, right off the hill.
Yeah,
and so if you know someone in your life, that you've tried to help, that they're lost, and you talk till you're blue in the face and they don't respond, I always recommend give them the gift of the book Outwitting the Devil, because they may very well find themselves in that book and find that lifeline of hope that will help them find that definiteness of purpose in their own life.
Now, Sharon, my final question I have for you, I know Dr. Zellner has one final wrap-up question for you, but my final question for you is, on a daily basis, how do you personally keep yourself from drifting? What does your morning routine look like? Every morning, like what does that first hour or 2 hours of every day look like to keep you from not drifting all these years?
Well, I know a lot of people talk about they get up and they meditate first. No, I get up and I actually do look in my emails first so that I know what's waiting for me during the day.
Okay.
So that then I can go in and take a moment and think about what my goals are, think about what my top priorities are. Because so many of us, we're multitaskers and we have so many things that pull us during the day, particularly entrepreneurs. We have this something called shiny object syndrome, and we can get easily distracted. Luckily, I have people on my team that will recognize that I'm in one of my shiny object syndrome moments and remind me, do you really want us to change priorities so that we can refocus it? But part of that is in the morning thinking about what is it that I want to accomplish today? What are the 3 or 4 major things that have to happen before I get in and start responding to the hundreds of emails and new requests that come in? And again, those systems we talked about earlier in this hour conversation, having those systems of how people can get access to me helps me be able to focus on the things that I have deemed important that day. Having systems in your office are very, very important so that you can focus on what you need to continue driving your business forward.
Dr. Z, what's the final question you have for Miss Sharon Lechter?
Mrs. Lechter, I have a question for you, and that is, what is your process? I mean, you obviously have written many successful books in a relatively short time frame. What's your process in writing? Are you I go to a beach and I get a pina colada and I sit in a hammock and just write all day? Or what's your actual physical process of writing a book?
Well, one part of what you said is accurate. Typically, I've written 22 books, so every book has been slightly different, but all of them have had an element of me at the beach. I typically run away. The ocean is food for my soul.
Okay.
And for me, I have to literally immerse myself in a book, and I live with it for 2 or 3 days. I turn off the phones. I'm by myself. I get up really, really early, and no pina coladas involved, no hammocks involved.
Okay,
I get up
right.
early in the morning, and I work until late at night, and then I get up and do it again, and then I literally walk away from the book for probably up to a month, and then I come back with a fresh mind and a fresh thought, and I'll read something. I go, oh, that was pretty darn good, Sharon. And then I'll read something and go, what was I thinking? But it allows me that separation and to be able to cleanse my mind, and then I come back and I continue working on it, but in a very focused way. Some people, dear friends of mine who are very famous authors, write an hour a day. That would never work for me. I have to totally focus and turn off everything else around me that's going on so that I can experience the book. Because for a book to be successful, it needs to come as if you're speaking to the reader. Mm-hmm. So it's not the words on the page, it's the message on the page.
There you go.
And so when I'm immersed in it, I feel like I'm having a conversation with the person reading the book, and that's important to me, so that when I reread it, I want to read the conversation. I want to connect with them emotionally, not just intelligently.
Very good. Now, little sidebar question here. What are some of your favorite beaches that you've done some of your best work?
My favorite speeches? Wow.
Yeah, your favorite beaches, yeah.
No, beaches.
Beaches, yeah. Where you going right?
Vast majority of them are San Diego, because I live in Phoenix, so I can go, jet over there in a few hours and sit and watch the ocean. But I have been to British Virgin Islands. I've been to Costa Rica, but the vast majority of my writing has been in the San Diego area, La Jolla, San Diego.
Excellent.
Well, Sharon, I want to respect your time. I just want to tell you thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to educate our hundreds of thousands of listeners. It means the world to me. And I feel really good because I can stop being nervous. I've just been nervous the entire time here. I can now breathe, Z. I can breathe. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Why were you nervous?
Because
Why were you nervous? It's just me.
Because you're a big deal.
You're a big deal. Sharon Lechter. It's a big deal. I was worried about Sharon. Do you remember when you wrote that book?
That one time.
That was awesome.
That one time.
Next question.
Yeah.
We're so excited. We're a bunch of nerds here. We appreciate you very much. Thrive Nation, Now we like to end each and every show with a boom on this Outwitting the Devil edition of the Thrivetime Show.
So here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom! Kind of creeping myself out here a little bit. Jump, are you scared yet? Jump! See if you can outwit the devil, Jump!
I don't know what to do.
Folks, on today's action-packed show, we're talking about outwitting the devil. And on part 2 of today's show, we are going to interview Sharon Lechter, the co-author of the book Outwitting the Devil, which is originally written by Napoleon Hill. You see, Napoleon Hill, the best-selling author of Think and Grow Rich, he also wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. And after he passed away, his family felt like, okay, now that he's passed away and it's been some time, we could put out this manuscript. And so Sharon Lechter dusted off the manuscript, put it out there, the book Outwitting the Devil. It's done very well. And on today's show, we're going to be joined by an entrepreneur who, in my mind, has done a very good job of cutting off, preventing, stopping the habit of what's called drifting. And that's what that whole book is about, is drifting. It's where you set a goal and you fail to achieve it because you lose interest in the idea and you begin to chase a shiny new thing, a shiny new object, always looking for a new idea instead of gaining traction by focusing on what has been proven to work time and time again. Here to talk about it is Dr. Sherwood. Welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. And I got to put a plug in for that book. It's one of the best books that I've ever read, anywhere, anytime. And it's keeping your friends close and your enemies closer concepts. Once you know your enemy, you know how to outsmart the enemy. But if you pay no attention to his tactics, your enemy will outsmart you. So very good lead in for that.
So let's start real quick here. You've had success as a professional athlete, as a member of the SWAT team or an elite police force team. You've been a best-selling author. You've been a best-selling or movie producer. You've been a guy who started a successful entrepreneurial endeavors, meaning Sherwood.tv. Your medical practice has done well. So you've had success in multiple areas. And so let's just talk about it. If somebody starts a new workout, studies show most people will work out for 1 or 2 sessions, and then they're done. If somebody starts writing a book, studies will show that most people will start writing the book and then they'll stop. Most people who start a diet, they get excited about it and then they stop. Talk to us. What is it internally that causes so many to drift?
People lose focus and they begin to compromise. Compromise multiplies compromise. Focus, however, on their side, compounds focus. And so I see people that are, whether it be diet, whether it be business, whatever the case may be, they start to compromise. And where this is going is they take one bite at a time they shouldn't. They get focused on the wrong thing. They think, well, this time it'll be fine. Just this one time. No problem, just this one time. And then they get twisted up, even in scriptures that say everything in moderation. It's again, that's a twist, but they do that and they get off course. And it's like that 1 degree, man, 2 degrees. And before you know it, you're 50 degrees off course, going the wrong ways, in the wrong current, the wrong channel, the wrong zip code and everything like that. So I see those little bitty changes like that truly get us off course. Really have to work that in my own life. I want to make sure that I stay focused, locked in all the time. And that requires, careful planning, of course, and scheduling my time.
Now, Napoleon Hill, who couldn't be here on today's show because he's dead, he wrote in the book Outwitting the Devil, the capacity to surmount failure without being discouraged is the chief asset of every person who attains outstanding success in any calling. So let's go into, let's say, fitness for a second. We're going into an area that you focus on a lot. So a client goes to Sherwood.tv, they schedule an assessment, they sign up for your program, they're paying you in some capacity to help them guide them down a path. And then week 2, you're like, where'd they go? They're ghosting. Their phone, you can't reach them. They're traveling. They can't take the call. They can't have the meeting. They're not. How do you prevent that? Because you've done a phenomenal job over the years of helping people stay on track. How do you prevent people from giving up the first time they interact with some kind of failure?
Well, I do a couple things. I go back and visit history, and I convince them that it is a pattern of society to do exactly as you described. And then I start off with a 30,000-foot view, like with a vision. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when you are A, B, C? And I ask that question a couple of times, and I get them to visualize that picture, because that's the first thing with getting a vision. Then I work backwards. How am I going to get there? And when you set those goals to start like an exercise program, never start them with unrealistic margins. For example, if you're exercising 0, I just want you going once a week. And that's it, man. If you go 2, you win. But once a week, that's where you start. You set these, what I call failure-proof goals. And then I use real life examples many times. I talk about, like Black Monday or Black Friday and Thanksgiving. The same is true with Black January at the gyms. Man, they go into Black in January and they're just drifting off. I talk about the Black January of church where they do these Daniel fasts. It's ridiculous. There is no such thing as a Daniel fast, by the way. They do this for 2 weeks in the sense that they want to repent for the past and get done with it in 2 weeks, and they can drift like that. So I talk about all those things instead of realistic plan for them in motion with accountability steps. And when they just follow that, they're successful, and they go, that wasn't that hard.
But by default, we're all going to drift. By default, that's what that book is about. By default, we're all going to drift without being intentional about designing a life that we want to live and walking it out. Now, the next notable quotable from the book, written by Napoleon Hill, who couldn't be here on today's show because he continues to be dead. He wrote, "The person who moves with definiteness recognizes the difference between temporary defeat and failure. When plans fail, he substitutes others, but he does not change his purpose. He perseveres." Let me read that again. The person who moves with definiteness recognizes the difference between temporary defeat and failure. When plans fail, he substitutes others, but he does not change his purpose. He perseveres. Dr. Sherwood, what say you?
Well, you're going to have times where you're going to try stuff. It just doesn't work out. But that doesn't mean you failed. In actuality, it means you're successful if you get up after getting knocked down and keep on going, because that's what gives the ability to yield that perseverance that Napoleon Hill's talking about, which yields character. And I know we've had a lot of times in our lives where, you do something, you hire someone, you try an endeavor, and that just didn't work out. It's disappointing. It knocks you down. It knocks the wind out of you. But when you stay focused on the big goal, these small steps where you fall down don't distract you, because you realize you are an overcomer. You are a person that gets up every time. You are successful. And you keep that to the front of your mind, because if you don't, these little things like this can begin to create patterns of failure that you expect. So instead of expecting to fail, you believe you'll succeed because you've already stated that you are successful. So it's not just a word game, it's reality. I mean, you're going to have tough times, but you got to keep getting up.
Now, the next notable quotable coming at you hot is Outwitting the Devil, the book. Again, Outwitting the Devil, written by Napoleon Hill. Next notable quotable says, "Nature will not tolerate idleness or vacuums of any sort. All space must be and is filled with something. When the individual does not use the brain for the expression of positive creative thoughts, nature fills the vacuum by forcing the brain to act upon negative thoughts." Whoa, Dr. Sherwood, what say you?
I use this a lot. That line in there made me think when I read that book several years ago. The mind is separate from the brain. And God talks about filling the mind. That is an active, demonstrative verb. You fill it up right now. It's active right now. So it's our job to fill that mind up. And the mind is sort of like a funnel that sticks out of our head. It is never empty. When that mind is full of what you are supposed to think about, what you're filling it up with, that mind will deposit into the brain, which creates brain chemistry, which creates either life or death, health or not, right? And so that funnel, if you will, if you're not filling it up, the world will. There's noises going on all the time. Somebody's talking all the time. And even more so today than we have, say, 20 years ago. We've got social media today. We're always listening to somebody talk. Even right now, we're listening to somebody talk. And I pray that we're filling the mind up with good things. And it's easy to really not do that, because that's the default manners you talked about, right? You have to be intentional about doing that. And in my own life, I've got to think about that every single day with every single thing I say, because when I'm not doing something, my mind is never going to be empty. I'm never empty-minded. That's the key point with that one.
Now, Napoleon Hill, again, Think and Grow Rich. I thought so highly of the book Think and Grow Rich that I named my son after Napoleon Hill. My son's name is Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark. Many people, it's pretty funny, but many people will Google Napoleon Hill and they'll find me because of Googling Napoleon Hill, because I have done so many podcasts over the years about Napoleon Hill, and I want to kind of shift our conversation in this area. Your mind is the beginning point. What you think about then becomes actions, and those actions become habits, and those habits produce compounding results. So the thoughts become actions, those actions become habits, those habits become compounding solutions. So it's compounding results. So, people will, a lot of times they'll come into my office and they look around and they go, wow, you have a lot of success stories on the wall. And at last count, there's over 2,000 of them on the wall. And people will say, there's a lot of them. People will walk into your clinic, to your medical facility, to your website. They'll interact with you and they go, wow, Dr. Sherwood is clearly into fitness. Okay, he's clearly into fitness. And I think people see the result, the compounding result, good or bad in any area, but we don't think about how changing our mind, just the mind, can be a big thing. But you could change your mind all day. I mean, you could be the most educated person possible, but you actually have to transmute that, change that, transfer that, move that into action. It has to somehow move from thoughts to action. Let's go back to this first. Thoughts, at some point, we have to go from thoughts to actions. That has to happen. Help me help our listeners go from thoughts to action.
All right. So I used to teach this on the police department because when I was there, obviously, you have to have a strong mind because you're going to see stuff and do stuff, and you have to act appropriately. You can't act by reaction. You have to act by action. So I want to sort of delineate between reaction and action. So I used to teach the idea of stress management, looking at a situation, redefining stress from a noun to a verb, meaning it's an action. It's something you do. Stress, therefore, by definition, is going to be the action you take in response to life's expected or unexpected occurrences. What I mean by that is when you have something happen, you have to deposit your response to that something, your perception of that, into your mind, which goes into your body, which creates the action, which creates the habit, which creates the result. So it's an input/output thing. And the more you repeat that stuff, the more it becomes a known input, giving you a known output. And the brain remembers that positive or negative feedback loop all the time. So a traffic jam comes up and you're late for a meeting. Do you have a choice on what that does to you? Your perception tells the choice. You can say, you know what? I'm angry. I'm going to hit my steering wheel. I'm going to yell, but that's not going to move the traffic anymore. So the stimulus is the traffic. Your action is what you do with it. The flip side of that is maybe it's a divine delay. Maybe I just need to calm down and chill out. In both cases, I'm filling my mind with something. And then I have the power then to control how that perception affects me. And that's exactly what you're talking about with this input-output thing. The more you do the things that you take control over like that versus just let it happen to you like everybody else does, the more they become habitual. And the more habitual you are with known intentional outputs, the more you're going to get these known outputs, which means you can get back up, you are successful, you can achieve this stuff, you can do what you say you're going to do.
Final question I have here for you is, somebody's watching this show right now and they're going, man, I'm getting fired up. I'm learning some stuff. I don't learn this kind of stuff from my doctor. I don't learn this stuff from my doctor. So if you're out there today and you want to optimize your health, and you want to get well, I listened to an interview the other day with Rick Rubin. He's a music artist who had gained massive amounts of weight, Rick Rubin. And he talked about, I'm not attacking Rick Rubin, but Rick was talking about how he had gotten himself to where he was 300 something pounds and he just didn't feel good, didn't look good, the whole thing. And I disagree with Rick about religion, disagree with Rick about a lot of philosophy stuff. You can't deny that he's been successful as a movie producer or as a music producer. But one thing Rick talked about was he was living this vegan lifestyle. And he said he was basically just eating carbs all the time. And it was a thing where he needed to get serious about optimizing his health. And he had talked to certain experts who said, oh man, you should become a vegan. And so that's what he did. And it didn't work. He was eating vegan and it just wasn't working. So Rick then got serious about changing his health. And now Rick Rubin has become sort of one of a fitness enthusiast. And many people know Rick Rubin as being this in shape guy. I want to get your thoughts on this. there's somebody out there who's been taking medical advice from somebody. I mean, just like Rick Rubin, he was taking advice. He became a vegan, started putting on weight. So he committed to being even more vegan, and he put on more weight. He was eating an all-carb diet, and he kept gaining weight. Yeah. I think a lot of people are a victim of poor advice. If people want to work with you at Sherwood.tv, what's that process like? What's it like to work with somebody teams up with you? Walk us through kind of step 1, step 2, step 3. If somebody teams up with you at Sherwood.tv.
Well, they're gonna click on that link, book a consultation first of all, and they're going to be directed to a webinar that they can attend. It's free, and they can ask some questions. If they want to go that direction, we do give them a chance after the webinar to schedule a consult, or they can go straight to the consult. Their choice. Somebody's going to call you and say, "You want to do this or that?" The first visit, we're going to assess where they are. I want to hear them. I want to get to know them, and then we're going to develop a plan to get them where they want to go. And my wife and I, as you well know, you know us personally, and our whole community, we live out what we say we're going to do. As far as dieting goes, that's a ridiculous term. You take the T off. What's that spell? Diet. And that's not cool. And you go back to Napoleon Hill. This is a classic drift that I see people. Dieting and the word gets you focused on what you're not supposed to do versus what you're supposed to do. That creates a drift. That's exactly what the devil did in Genesis 3. He got Adam and Eve focused off of abundance to what they shouldn't be doing. And that's exactly what happens with diet. So when they work with us, no dieting allowed. Living it is allowed. Abundance. I give them a list of foods and I say, I don't care how much you eat off this list, just stay there. Just stay right here. And it's a big old list. We get them moving every day. Some people have a drudgery feeling about going to exercise. You don't have to go to the gym to move. We talk about stress management, as I talked about just a moment ago, and we talk about sleep, the benefit of that and disconnecting. So all that's important. And we get into the medical ease of it over the course of time. But we become, Clay, their partner as opposed to a clinician. We are their health partner, and it's truly is a partnership, and people get better. All of them do when they just join us, you know.
Folks, that's Dr. Sherwood. He's a beautiful man. He's a great American. And his website is Sherwood.tv. Sherwood.tv. Dr. Sherwood, thank you for joining us today, sir. And I can't wait to harass you next week.
Sounds good, man. See you later.
2 men, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses, 8 kids, 1 business coach radio show. It's the Thrivetime Business Coach Radio Show. Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show.
That's it. Arms away.
Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. It is the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download. Now, Chup, as a business coach, you and I have both worked with a lot of top-level, high-flying entrepreneurs.
Yep.
We've also worked with a lot of entrepreneurs that come to us slightly broken. They're a little bit down, and we've helped repair them and help them get into a level of success.
Stitches and Band-Aids and things, yeah.
But one of the things people always want to talk about is marketing and branding and sales. But people never want to talk about accounting and bookkeeping. They want to talk about the holy triumvirate: marketing, branding, sales. They love that.
So exciting,
feelings and visions and
new deals
and growth and build-outs. But no one ever wants to talk about financials. They always want to delegate that. But yet, every single successful entrepreneur I've ever met really has a fundamental grasp of the financial aspects of the business. And so on today's show, we're interviewing a certified public accountant. Check. We're interviewing a New York Times best-selling author. Check. We're interviewing the CEO of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad organization. Check. We're interviewing somebody who worked with Robert Kiyosaki to write the 14 books of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series. Check. We're talking about the lady who took his idea, which was on a piece of paper, to make a board game, Robert Kiyosaki's idea to make a board game, and turned it into a book empire. Check. We're talking about a lady who was asked by the National CPA Financial Literacy Commission to serve as their national spokesperson. Oh, by the way, this is the same council that served both President Bush and President Obama. Check. This is a lady who has a team of over 5,000 people who help her with her various entrepreneurial projects. 5,000. That's a lot. Check. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a person here who's written Napoleon Hill's, she helped recraft Napoleon Hill's book, Outwitting the Devil. You see, Napoleon Hill wrote a book, the manuscript for Outwitting the Devil, in the 1930s. But when the best-selling self-help author of all time went to release it, his wife told him not to because she thought it was too controversial. And so years later, Sharon Lechter revived the manuscript and helped her release Outwitting the Devil. Check. She also helped to write Think and Grow Rich for Women. Check. She also helped to release the Napoleon Hill book, 3 Feet from Gold. Check. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is bona fide. She's an unbelievable author, a dynamic speaker, a top-level entrepreneur, which indicates that she does not know who I am, because if she did, she would not have agreed to be on today's show. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, our exclusive interview with Sharon Lechter, and she's teaching you why you just cannot delegate your financials. Now, as far as the financials, looking at the numbers, Sharon, very few entrepreneurs, we have a ton of people that attend our workshops. When they come to the workshops, and Dr. Z, you've seen this, people want to talk about marketing, the vision, sales, and then they want to go back to talking about the vision, marketing, and then sales. And then Sharon, sometimes they'll go back to the vision, and then back to sales, then back to marketing. and yet, but you have to know your numbers. And I've heard you talk at length about this, but I'd like for you to share with the listeners about why you can't abdicate your financials and why you can delegate them to a certain extent, but why you as the owner of the company have to be aware of what is going on financially. Can you coach us?
Certainly. And I can't agree with you more. You do a webinar or a seminar on sales and you sell out. You do a webinar or a seminar on understanding your financials, and it's hard to get people in their seats.
Kind of alone here.
Sound exciting.
Crickets.
But at the end of the day, your numbers tell a story, and you're creating that story. And so if your story isn't going the way you want it to go, the sooner you know about it, the better. And so it's very important for entrepreneurs. And sometimes, you can't be the one doing the numbers because you want to focus on growing your business, but you need to make sure you have the right people on your team. But you always need to know your numbers, and you need to have a dashboard or something so that you are constantly on it. As I sit at my desk right now speaking to you, I have my accountants outside working on some things for me. They know that I need to, at any given time, I know what kind of accounts I have. I know what kind of money I have just because of my years of experience. But as a CPA, that's obviously important to me, but it's more important to me as a CEO. If you own your company, if you don't know what the numbers are telling you, then you can get a very rude surprise. And it's very important for people to understand the importance of understanding the income statement, which is telling you over a period of time how you're doing it, and then also to understand your balance sheet, which tells you basically like a snapshot of the day and time, showing you what your assets and liabilities are, and how those two play together are very important.
Sharon, I see. It's painful for me to see it, and as a coach, and I write for Forbes, and so I have a certain platform. But you have one of the biggest platforms in the world, so I'd like for you to maybe give the tough lesson to the entrepreneurs out there listening who are saying, "Yeah, I know accounting. I know I need to know my balance sheet, and I know I need to know the income statement. But I don't because my accountant handles that." Could you give us the tough love for somebody out there who is refusing to know their numbers? Because I'm sure you've met people like this before.
Well, they know the stat of the number of businesses fail in the first 3 years, and the primary reason they fail is the lack of capital, lack of funding, and lack of financial management. And what happens is, those entrepreneurs that fall into that category, Clay, are the ones who put their head in the sand. And they think that if they just drive faster and they make more sales, everything's going to be okay. The issue is unless you understand the whole picture and you understand what your margins are, understand what the bottom line is, you can't really grow your business. And, people that are losing a nickel on something and say, if I can just sell more of them, I'll be okay. No, you're just going to lose that much more money. You have to understand the cash flow of your business. And more importantly, you need to understand the timing of your cash flow. And so it's not just understanding that you're selling a lot, but you need to understand when that money's coming in and when you have to spend money in order to make the product. So let's say you sell $1 million worth of product. Well, you have to have that product in your inventory, or you have to have the money to build it so that you can collect $1 million. And so you probably need a lot of that cash up front. And so what happens is business owners who don't pay attention to that end up having to go to very expensive money, factoring those receivables to be able to pay for the inventory. And they get themselves further into debt, further into problems. And instead of feeling good about being successful, that success costs them their business because they have not paid attention to the numbers, to the cash flow, and the timing of that cash flow.
You know, our show, we're all about teaching listeners specific action steps they can take. And so I want to take a second to brag on a listener that's actually doing this properly. But Aaron, who I mentioned earlier with Shaw Homes, one of the things that gives them an unfair advantage over their competition is that they know the costs of the materials. So like when the cost of plywood went up drastically recently, Sharon, they know that. And so they were able to quote the clients accurately, and they don't get to the end of when you finish the home, you close on the home, the new buyer moves into the home. They don't have to tell the buyer, oops, it's going to cost more money, and they don't run out of cash. So I'd like for you to put on a little mini seminar here about what we need to know about cash flow, because Shaw Homes knows cash flow. They know their expenses. That's why they can quote people a price and honor it. But their competition, I mean, if you go online and read the Google reviews, there are so many reviews by customers complaining about the bait and switch move. And I don't think people are, the other builders are dishonest as much as they just don't know their numbers. Can you talk to us about cash flow and just kind of cash flow 101? What do we all need to know?
Well, Aaron's business is a perfect example of the timing of cash flow that I just mentioned, because you don't build a house overnight. And so they have to have the financing to get that house done, knowing that the payoff is in the future. And when that payoff comes in, hopefully it's going to have not only pay off their expenses, but give them the profit on top of it. And those expenses include all those materials you're talking about, but even more so, the labor of all the people on their team. And so just as when I talk about cash flow, I want to take a minute about materials. So we talk about just-in-time ordering. So when they're building that house, they can't put plumbing in until they have to have the plumbing in before they can pour the concrete over it. Those things have to come in. There's a stage in which you have things done. You can't have the roofers waiting to put the roof on when it's not ready for them. And so each stage of process of building a home has to be timed appropriately so that you have the minimum cost of labor for the people and the technicians doing their job. And that has to be perfectly timed. And so that takes talent. That takes people who know what they're doing. But it also takes that expert and that individual understanding what every minute of that costs them. So when they have a delay or they have products the lumber isn't there, they have a week delay in lumber, they have to recalculate and find out what that's going to cost them to make sure they're always working to their budget, to make sure they have the profit that they're expecting at the end of the day. We talk about remodels as the homeowner, all right? You always say it's always going to take another, several months past what they promise. It's a guarantee, and it's going to cost you more than what you originally commit to because you're going to have surprises. And that's something that can be very painful, but that's those unexpected things. Every business has unexpected things. The issue is the sooner you find out about them, the sooner you can plan and recover. And that's all about cash flow. And cash flow comes from the moment you start your business, one of the things that can kill you is that you think you have sales, and the sales are there, but you don't have. It's going to take you 60 to 90 days to collect on those sales. Well, you have to have the cash to be able to build the product, as I said earlier. Well, what happens when all of a sudden you're hugely successful and you have a huge order that comes in and you don't have the ability to respond to that order? Your business can crumble. And that's why it's so important to always have a pulse on your cash flow, not just your income and expenses, but also the cash flow, which is the timing of that. That's why when Fortune 500 companies, they do an income statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement so that you can see what's happening within the business, because the assets could go up because they've got outdated inventory. You know that when you start looking at the cash flow statements.
Now, one of the things that you have created that was powerful for me as a young whippersnapper, Sharon, the year would be 1999, I believe. So this is maybe what, because you wrote the book in 95, is that correct? You and Robert came out with the book in 95?
Well, we published it in April of 97.
97, okay, so the year's 1999. Dr. Zellner can vouch for me here. I dressed like Eminem. I had no idea what I was doing. Sharon, I went on to build the largest wedding entertainment company in the country called DJConnection.com. And we did 4,000 events per year at the peak before I sold it. But I'm there working in a call center. And I'm reading this book, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And at some point, you're talking about this cash flow quadrant concept. And I'm not sure how refined it was at that point. It was probably 2001 when I really started paying attention to the book and really understanding it. So it's 2001, so I might have even read Cash Flow Quadrant. But you talked about there's this quadrant, and you said to me directly, like it was yesterday, you said, Clay, you start off as an employee, step one. I'm going, oh, that's good, that's good. Step two, you become self-employed. You own your job. And I'm going, yeah, that's awesome. Step three, you own a business where other people work at the business. It creates jobs for others and time freedom for you. And then step four, you become an investor. And I realized I am an employee, and I can't afford to become self-employed yet. I now must get 3 jobs. So I worked at Target, Applebee's, and DirecTV. My wife worked at Office Depot and Oral Roberts University. I turned off my air conditioning, Miss Sharon. You caused me to turn off my air conditioning. It is your fault and your credit. So it was very hot in Oklahoma in June and July. We had no air conditioning. It was hot, and I'm reinvesting in myself. But I didn't quit my day job until I could afford to become self-employed. Can you walk us through those 4 steps about being an employee and when it's time to make the jump to become self-employed and what it looks like to become a business owner? Just walk us through your cash flow quadrant.
Well, the cash flow quadrant, if you imagine just across the top left corner is E for employee, the bottom left is S for self-employed. And so that left side of the quadrant, that's what school teaches us. You know, that's how we are taught. And that's exchanging your time for money as an employee or a self-employed individual, or even a small business owner who really owns a job, not a business. The right side of the quadrant, the top right corner, is B for business. And that's where you have systems, you have other people working for you. And the real test of whether you're an S or a B. As a B, you own a business. If you walked away and came back in 6 months, it would still be operating. It's not dependent on you being there. So you totally own an asset, and that asset is the business, and the business is being run by systems and people. And then you have investor as the bottom right, and the investor is where your money is working for you, whether you're invested in real estate or in the stock market or in IRAs, whatever that is, that's your money working for you. So your personal business is your personal financial statement. When you put money into your asset column, they're like employees working for you. Those are your investments. And you want every wealthy person in the world has one thing in common. They own investments. They own assets, and those assets work for them. So on the right side of the quadrant, school doesn't teach us how to be business owners. School doesn't teach us how to be investors. We learn that through the real-world education or through the world of hard knocks. And so as I sit here today on this phone call, I live in all 4 quadrants. The vast majority of my income comes as an investor and a business owner. But I'm still an employee of my own corporation. I still am self-employed. When I go out and speak, I get a speaker's fee. And that's the left side of the quadrant. But I want more and more of my income to come from the right side, because that's not me working for money. It's my assets working for money, business owners and investors. And so you don't have to be in only one. You want to be. Everyone wants to have money as investors that are working for you, and have a business owner. And if you own real estate, that's a business. You are in the business of real estate. So all of those things work together. And your ability to earn money on the left side as an employee or a self-employed person is finite. You only have so many hours, so many days in a week. However, on the right side, as a business owner and as an investor, your ability to make money is infinite.
I think a lot of people get stuck there, in that self-employed area where their ability to earn is limited. It is finite. They get stuck there. Why do people get stuck there, Sharon? How can you've helped people get unstuck in that area? What's that doom loop where people are stuck in that self-employed area?
Well, I think a lot of times you start getting so busy working in your business, you forget to work on your business. People feel like they have to do everything on their own. They don't bring in the talent to help them grow their business. I mean, in order to be able to go from a small business to a big business, you have to have systems. And when you do everything yourself, it's going to be hard to grow, and nobody's going to ever be doing it exactly the way you want to. But if you create the systems, obviously we can think of the most perfect example, McDonald's everywhere. The owner is not there. It's run by teenagers, and it's done that because the systems are so ironclad that all that somebody has to do is follow the systems. And that's the ideal of going from a small business to a big business. A big business has systems, and you manage the systems, not necessarily the people. And you have people working for you, your systems are working for you, other people's money. And that's what really gets you out of a small business to a large business. Now, maybe you, as a small business, you're a doctor or you're a lawyer. So how do you do that? Well, you hire other doctors or other lawyers, and you start building a practice around it, and so that you have the ability to earn, have systems on how the operations are being handled, and other people, and you make a percentage off the other doctors and lawyers. You're taking the overhead and your ability to grow and leverage. In order to, you might have a very successful small business, but a successful small business can only scale and therefore be sustainable if it has systems.
I feel like the systems involve checklists, processes, workflows, and Sharon, there are things that they're so boring. I mean, they're not vision. They're not sales. They're not marketing. I mean, the systems thing, I'm kind of a sick freak in that I actually enjoy making systems because I like the result, and I think I also just like the process of making systems. But I think a lot of people get stuck in that rat race, and they're not even looking for a way out. Why do you feel like a lot of people get stuck and they're not even, I think people will come up to you at a seminar, they're 45 years old, and they've been stuck in the rat race for 20 years, and then it just occurred to them for the first time at your seminar that it is possible to get out of the rat race. Why do you think people don't even try to get out of the rat race? What, is it just they don't know, or they're overwhelmed, or what? You've seen it probably more up close than I have. Why do you think a lot of people get stuck in that rat race?
Well, sometimes we get in a world of comfort, and that comfort turns into complacency. And even though we're not where we want to be, we're able to pay our bills, and we can put our head on the pillow at night, and we end up just getting too comfortable. And what happens is a lot of times we have a crisis, and we get thrown into chaos, and we end up having to become creative again, and that gives us the ability to have a bigger vision. And that, the whole concept of understanding what's possible. And I think, a huge issue is your environment. Are you hanging out with other people that are in that same category, people who are just getting by, people who are on the rat race? And if that's the environment you're putting yourself in, then it seems normal, right? If you want to get out of that environment, then you need to put yourself in an environment with people who are really striving for success, because they can help you. And most of the time, school certainly teaches us to do it on our own. And so, we come out in the business world and we think we have to do everything on our own. And it's so important that we realize that you have the right people around you, the right team, the right peer network. We have the opportunity to really grow more quickly. The right mentor. Mentors are priceless because they've been successful where you want to go. And they can help speed your way to success by opening doors, steering you around the pitfalls. And there's a difference between a mentor and a coach. A coach may not have that success, but they know what you want to do, and they can help you be accountable and make sure you stay on track.
Oh, Thrive Nation, we just had Sharon Lechter on this show. How is it possible, Chuck?
It was a Sharon Lechter lecture.
I was nervous, Chuck.
So good.
I was nervous.
Yeah, well, you should be.
Sharon?
She's an authority.
Do you remember when you who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That was pretty cool.
I mean, I'm just telling you, she is such a great lady, kind lady, and she's agreed to be with us on 6 separate shows, which is so exciting. And so on our next interview with Sharon Lechter, we're going to ask her about why college is probably not the right move for most people. We're gonna ask Sharon, why do you feel that college may not be the right option for many people? And so she's going to question the great religion of college, which I know is heresy to many people. You can question people's religion, you can question their politics, you could question a lot of things, but you cannot question. You can't, Chup. I think questioning, even asking the question whether you should go to college or not. I think asking that question to some people, saying, should I go to college or not, is a lot like getting a kiosk at the mall and setting up a nice, beautiful. Can you grab my megaphone over there by the man sink? It's like setting up a kiosk. Imagine this, Thrive Nation. Imagine you're at a mall, a local mall area there where there's a lot of stores there. There's Victoria's Secret. There's Bath and Body. There's what is it? There's Champs. There's a Foot Locker. There's an Orange Julius. There's a Chick-fil-A. The standard American mall. And imagine that you set up a kiosk just outside of the food court and you play this game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, step right up. It's going to be the weight guessing game here. The weight guessing game. I'm going to guess your weight, and if I get it right, you win a magical prize. If I get the weight wrong, just keep on walking here, folks. I'm going to start with you there, ma'am. You're looking like you weigh 187. No, okay. Let me try again here. You want to play again here? Well, I'm not getting a lot of interaction here. I'm not getting a lot of feedback from you. I'm going to say that you weigh 152. Still a little bit high. Okay, all right. Well, not getting a lot of it. Man, where'd you go? Man, sir. All right, we're gonna play the IQ guessing game here, folks. Sir, you look like your IQ is a 7. Higher? Oh, okay. All right. You want to guess if you can't go over, like the Price is Right. You can't go over. Is it 50? Okay, we'll go back to the weight guessing. But ma'am, you back there, you look like. Well, I'd say, folks, let me guess your age. Ma'am, you look like you're 47. 22? Don't say. Wow, do you drink? All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now, folks, step right up here. I'll guess your weight. I'll guess your age. I'll guess your IQ. It all's happening here. All we got to do is just walk by. I'll guess. If you don't win, you can just keep on walking.
That's not going to go over well, Chuck.
Yeah, no, it's not going to get you very far.
But because I have a megaphone available at all times,
this is true.
In the man cave, we were able to imitate that scenario with perfect quality.
It's funny how many times you've said that. Hey, Chuck, grab my megaphone, would you?
All right, so Thrive Nation, stay tuned as Sharon Lechter on our next episode here asks, the question, is college right for you? And as always, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom! Folks, on today's show, I want to talk to you about, there's a book called Outwitting the Devil. Oh, yes, there's a book called Outwitting the Devil. I read it many years ago. It's written by Napoleon Hill. I don't think that people know this, but Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill was a book that Napoleon Hill wrote. And within a year of writing that book, he also wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. Napoleon Hill's books have had such a profound impact on me that I named my son Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark. My son, his name is Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark. And Think and Grow Rich is about the mindset needed to have success. It's all about over-delivering and wowing your customers or your boss. It's all about surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded people who are goal-driven. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and it really is a great book for creating the winner's mindset. And Outwitting the Devil is a book about how not to drift and how not to set goals and fail to achieve them, and how not to be a pretender, how to be how not to be a pretender, how to be a contender, how not to just be a happy hoper, but to be a diligent doer. It really is a powerful book. It kind of, in my mind, reads a lot like the book of James. That book was written by Napoleon Hill, and then the manuscript for that book sat dormant for many, many years. And the book was never released because Napoleon Hill's family did not want him to put out the book at the time. And after his death, Sharon Lechter, the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Sharon Lechter, she put out the book, and we're going to interview Sharon Lechter on part 2 of today's show. But before we do that, I want to talk to a doctor who is very proactive about his patient's health. And he's also very proactive about his wealth. He wants his practice to be solvent, to be financially sustainable. He's the founder of officialsynapse.com, officialsynapse.com. Again, he's in the business to help people optimize their health, but he couldn't do that if his business was not financially solvent. Here to talk about it is Dr. Spurl. Welcome to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Clay.
Dr. Troy, I'm going to throw some Napoleon Hill notable quotables at you, but before I do that, I want to ask you, drifting, by default, that's what we all do. By default, everybody sets a goal and then fails to adhere to their goal or to stay on the path or to commit to the mission. Talk to me about that and how you've learned over time how to outwit the devil, figuratively speaking, or to stay on course.
Yeah, so drifting is actually pretty common. If you just let life kind of give you guidance, you end up just drifting through life. So instead of taking control of your life, instead of making decisions, you just kind of float along with life. When you do that, other people are influencing and making the most important decisions for you. And I love the movie The Chosen, because in the beginning of that movie, they show how the fish are swimming up against the stream. And that's what Napoleon Hill's talking about. He's talking about how navigating and going the opposite direction of the people in the drift. And that's all that's needed to actually be successful, whether it be in business, spiritually, whatever.
So outwitting the devil, there's this mindset that I believe, and maybe somebody out there disagrees, but I believe all ideas are either inspired by God or from Satan. And you say, really? I mean, I do believe that. And I believe that, either you're doing something as unto the Lord or as unto Satan, maybe not intentionally, but that's how it happens. I think a lot of entrepreneurs self-sabotage. And I don't know why that is. I've seen it happen over the years. Dr. Troy, why is it that many entrepreneurs will set goals and then self-sabotage?
Well, because there's a mindset of success, and some people, it's really bizarre, but some people have a fear of failure. Some people have a fear of success because of what that actually means. And so the first step is to identify, are you actually sabotaging yourself unintentionally? And a lot of times it is unintentional. A lot of times we are listening to the wrong people. We have emotions get in the way of decision making. There are a lot of variables as to why it happens. It's very, very common. We know it is because the majority of people who go into business fail unless they have some level of insight, some level of good feedback, and a plan, basically. So a focus. So it's really important. A lot of people do it. They don't intentionally do it, but it stems from fear most times.
Okay, notable quotable number 1 from Napoleon Hill. I'll read it to you right now. It says, remember that your dominating thoughts attract through a definite law of nature by the shortest and most convenient route their physical counterpart. Be careful what your thoughts dwell upon. Talk to me about what that means and how that relates to business owners watching today's show.
So the Bible talks to us about like guarding our thoughts, but from a business perspective, and I'm going to go from a healthcare perspective, there's an area of the brain called the basal ganglia. It sets a tone for your muscles and your motions. It's a filtering mechanism for your thoughts that directly influences your muscles. So if you have stinking thinking, you're not going to get up off the couch to actually do the work that you need to do. If you have thinking that motivates you, that releases dopamine in a good, positive, balanced way, you're going to feel the energy to actually get up and get off the couch. So our thoughts direct our muscles. A lot of people will see this as they'll know it when they have like stress, your muscles get tight. Well, the opposite is true too. When you actually have a vision that's been given to you and you focus on that vision, you actually get energy going into your muscles to actually get you up off the couch. It's the way God designed us.
Now, Napoleon Hill wrote in this book, Outwitting the Devil, you are entitled to know that two entities can occupy the body. One of these entities is motivated by and responds to the impulse of fear. The other is motivated by and responds to the impulse of faith. Will you be guided by faith, or will you allow fear to overtake you? He's talking about how faith and fear simply cannot coexist. How does that relate to the entrepreneurs out there watching today's show?
I love that. Napoleon Hill was so on it, man. We either operate in faith or out of fear. And when you operate from faith, you take the leap of faith. Part of your identity as an entrepreneur becomes revealed to you. It's your God-given identity. And then you get tested in it. And if you don't pass the test, you have to repeat the test. But if you pass the test, then you get to take the next leap of faith. So you're constantly building as an entrepreneur, and he nails it. The people who are in fear never move past that, and they never take that next leap of faith, and they never get the payoff from it. You have to be bold, and you have to be not fearless, but you have to get through and bust through the fear to actually apply the faith. Faith over fear every day of the week.
Next notable quotable. I want to give you three notable quotables to unpack on today's show. And again, folks, Outwitting the Devil is the book. This book was resurrected. The manuscript was resurrected and released by Sharon Lechter, who we're going to have on part 2 of today's show. Napoleon Hill writes, the capacity to surmount failure without being discouraged is the chief asset of every person who attains outstanding success in any calling. Let me repeat that one more time. The capacity to surmount failure without being discouraged is the chief asset of every person who attains outstanding success in any calling. Wow. Dr. Spurl, what say you?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. We call it in my family and in my business failing forward. It's okay to make a mistake as long as we learn from the mistake. And Tony Robbins actually said it really, really well years later. He said the most successful people in life become comfortable with the uncomfortableness of life. And that's what an entrepreneur is. That's what a faith-based, faith over fear entrepreneur is. They're okay making the mistakes. And I've heard you say this, Clay. You said the opposite of done is perfection. And so it's very, very important for people to realize that it's not about being 100% perfect moving through this. Just learn from your mistakes.
Now let's shift gears into the super practical. Somebody's watching this right now. They've been putting off optimizing their health for a long time. Officialsynapse.com is your website. I've seen it happen, and maybe these results aren't indicative of the normal, but I've seen people that I know who have flown up to Minneapolis. They've actually flown up to Minneapolis for the sole purpose of seeing you. And they've optimized their health, and they swear by it. They swear by the work you've done to help them optimize their health. I don't know exactly what you do. I don't think you recommended a head transplant or a heart transplant, but people went to Minnesota. I knew they flew there. They called me and said, hey, we're with your friend, Dr. Troy. They claim they've never felt better about their health. Talk to the listeners out there that want to optimize their health this year. What's that process look like?
Well, you can go to our website. We have a free discovery call. And with that, we're going to see if you're a fit for what we do. We use functional medicine and the best nutritional medicine to actually improve the God-given communication systems within the body to restore what was lost. A lot of times that will look like diet, lifestyle. We also do things like PRP, stem cells, and have many other different approaches to actually restore the God-given communication systems within the body.
If I'm watching right now, why should I reach out to officialsynapse.com? Why should all of our listeners? I met you during the COVID craziness because there was lockdowns, quarantines, curfews. People were looking for a doctor that they could trust. I kept hearing good things about you. Why should everybody, or I guess maybe what solutions do you have for everybody out there watching?
So we're really good at figuring out why you feel the way you do. And if you want to optimize your health, we believe that you can optimize your health to optimize your potential. And so when you're balanced mentally, chemically, physically, and spiritually even, then the best version of you comes out. And we need that right now. We need the best version of many, many people. So if you're struggling, not getting the answers of why you feel the way you do, give us a call.
Folks, that website is officialsynapse.com. That's officialsynapse.com. If you're wanting to go to the wrong website, go to any website at all except for officialsynapse.com. So if you want to check out any website at all, I mean, just let me show you some examples, folks. Like if you were to go to like Amazon.com, that is not officialsynapse.com. If you were to go to ESPN.com, that's ESPN.com. That's not going to get you to officialsynapse.com. If you said, well, what are other websites that are not officialsynapse.com? Well, I mean, McDonald's, I hear they have a website, those crazy kids at McDonald's, and I don't know if you want to eat there or not. Certain people have certain concerns about the food. Certain people love the food there. Don't know, but McDonald's, and that domain is mcdonalds.com/us.en.us.html. That is not official synapse.com. Someone says, wow, can you share with me one more? Yeah, Bixby Public Schools. That's a school near us. That's not going to get you in any way, shape, or form. If you were to go to Bixby Public Schools, their website, that's bixbyps.org. If you went there and you scroll down past the advertising and you clicked on the summer camps button, that will not take you to officialsynapse.com. Someone says, where else can I click on the website? Well, frankly, folks, anywhere on the website you go to at all. Now, if you want to go message the Superintendent Wilson, and I know you do, you go there, you can reach out to Lydia Wilson, God bless her, you could email her, but it's not going to get to officialsynapse.com. If you're looking to get in great shape, check out that website and don't check out any other website. Dr. Sperl, thank you so much for your time, sir, and I appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. Are you looking to start or grow a super successful business? Join Eric Trump, the New York Times bestselling author of The Carnivore Diet, Sean Baker. Join hundreds of real business owner client success stories at the highest rated business conference in America. Join Mel Kay, Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer, Julie Green, Amanda Grace, Pastor Dave Scarlett, and myself in Tulsa, Oklahoma, November 5th and 6th. Attend the most real, the most authentic, the highest rated, and most reviewed Ultimate Business Growth Workshop. During this 2-day interactive business workshop, you're going to learn everything you need to know to make your business grow. Learn how to generate more sales. Learn how to produce additional high-quality inbound leads. Learn how to create repeatable systems. Learn how to build a successful business. And learn how to do it now. If you've ever wanted to learn how to start and grow a super successful company, this is the event for you. At our 2-day interactive business workshop, we will teach you specifically every step that you need to take to start and grow a super successful company. We will teach you specifically how to get to the top of the Google search engine results, how to dominate artificial intelligence search results, how to market via social media, how to generate more leads, and how to get in front of your ideal and likely buyers. We're going to teach you the step-by-step processes that you need to learn in order to hire, inspire, train, and retain high-quality employees and teammates. We're going to teach you specifically what you need to learn to manage a team of people. We're going to teach you how to manage your finances, how to look at the numbers, and to figure out the specific steps that you need to take to create a time freedom and financial freedom producing business. At the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, we've been teaching entrepreneurs everything they need to know to start and grow a successful company since 2005. In fact, at our 2-day interactive business workshops, we're going to teach you marketing, systems and scaling, human resources, accounting, social media marketing, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and so much more. You can learn more and request tickets today simply by going to thrivetimeshow.com. Yes, you can request tickets today simply by going to thrivetimeshow.com. That's the website. Join Eric Trump, myself, and Team America live and in person at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, November 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas, and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrivetime, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement.
Okay, Aaron Antis, November 5th and 6th. Guess who's coming back to Tulsa? I will give you a hint. His first name is Eric, and his last name is Trump. Whoa. And his father is the 47th president of these United States. Yes, Eric Trump is joining us once again here September 25th and 26th in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. But Eric Trump is bringing friends. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Grace will be in the place. Dr. Stella Emanuel will be here in T-Town in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Julie Green will be on the scene. Mel K will be here to say hey. Dave Scarlett from the His Glory team will be here. It's going to be a blasty blast right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you want to start or grow a super successful company, if you want to make your wallet great again or make your wallet great for the first time, if you want to learn marketing, systems, scaling, human resources, accounting, social media, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and more, get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. Once again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I've definitely learned a lot about life design and making sure the business serves you. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side. Play is hilarious. I literally laughed so hard that I started having tears yesterday. And we've been learning a lot, which, you know, we've been sitting here, we've been learning a lot, and so the humor definitely helps. It breaks it up. But the content is awesome, off the charts, and it's very interactive. You can raise your hand. It's not like you're just listening to the professor speak, you know. The wizard teaches, but the wizard interacts and he takes questions, so that's awesome. If you're not attending the conference, you're missing about 3/4 to half of your life. You're definitely, it's probably worth a couple $1,000s. So you're missing the thought process of someone that's already started like 9 profitable businesses. So not only is it a lot of good information, but just getting in the thought.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Well, people don't know this, but the Trump Organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump Organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump Organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States, he needed a competent man to run and execute his business plans. Showtime! So the man that runs the Trump Organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint. Right. I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him, character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
But his, I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is.
The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had
718 people. 718 people.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what? We should probably add on. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. And anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and so to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years, so let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah, we're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. and you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. And this is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis.
Sure.
There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. I mean, there's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
You know, I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. I should. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. Yeah. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet.
I was looking to learn how to take my business, like they've said today, from being very successful to being systematic. I've got a very successful practice in 3 different cities, make good money. Just want to take it to the next level with systems and processes to where I can drive my cars more.
Paul Hood.
I've been a CPA for 33 years.
And what kind of growth have you and your great team had here over the past, let's say, 5-6 years?
For the last 5, when I met you 5 years ago, we were doing 3 million. This year we'll do 24 million.
Whoa. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma. And nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
a storage space.
Storage units.
Yeah.
This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Thomas Crossan, owner and founder of Full Package Media in Dallas, Texas. I've been a coaching client with Clay Clark since the beginning of our business. We started about a year ago, August of last year. I had no clients, no idea what we were doing, no clue really what was going on. And now we've grown to where we've got 6 photographers, we've got office space here. I have admin, sales person that works for us full time, developing an online system, and a lot of that growth we attribute to Clay helping us. And there's so many things that, his stuff is not revolutionary. It's not this crazy walk on hot coals and all this stuff. It's just real stuff.
It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you, this will be 10 times better than that.
Whoa. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. It is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you, it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Whoa.
What kind of growth have you had since you and I have been working together over these past few years?
3.45 million. I got those stats before I got on here.
So you've grown by 3.45 million.
Yeah, 3,450,000.
Would that be like if you took the combined revenue, maybe doubled it? Have we gone up by
about almost 3, not quite.
Whoa.